Coming to you from who knows where. Here's three guys who talk sports, complain about sports, and bet on sports. The Better or Worse podcast with Jersey Joe, Rickshaw Randy, and Mitch.
Hey, Rickshaw.
Hey, Mitch. How are ya?
Good, man. Good, man. It's been a long, busy weekend. What'd you end up doing this weekend? Anything fun?
I had a bunch of friends in town from Detroit.
Yeah.
And watching hockey playoffs and betting on overs in basketball. And those guys play a lot of video poker. I just don't get the whole slot thing. The slot thing it's beyond me.
Do they video? So it's video poker, not the old school slot machines. They do the video.
Oh, they play the video poker, but they play those stupid new slot games too. You know, the ones that have all the bells and whistles and like they got cows mooing, and I mean, it's just like I think the one that they played that I was laughing at the most was the invaders from the planet Moolah, and it was all cows. I mean, it was, and the idea, I think the idea of this game, I never quite understood was, to get like this special cow.
Well, did anybody win? Did they win?
No, they never win at those damn games. Actually, two of my buddies hit a royal for like $4,000. Another one had that.
If he won $4,000, you're saying he still didn't win?
No, hell no.
He gave it all back?
Oh, he hit. Not only did he hit four of a kind, or the four of the royal or whatever, but and maybe it was four of a kind with four aces. I don't remember exactly, but those guys
playing $500 spins.
Well, these are high rollers, man. I mean, they don't want to win $4,000. They want to win 40.
Where were you guys playing?
We were playing all over, mostly Caesars and Bellagio.
What was the scene like? What was it like down there? Packed?
That was really, really crazy. And it was a hot weekend too. So
what's the demographic like? Because I actually saw something that the Encore now is having huge pool parties.
Oh yeah,
like it's taken over rehab. It's taken over like the old rehab kind of parties. Did you see a lot of 20 to 25-year-olds running around like they're going to pool parties down there?
I will say the demographic is definitely younger now. I mean, even at the Bellagio, which is the higher end place where you expect, most of the older crowd, more, the wealthier crowd. There was a lot of young people. It was great. I mean, I got to tell you, we had a great time. I mean, we drank beer. Hung out.
How much was a beer there? Was it $7, $8?
Oh no, closer to 10, I think.
Closer to 10.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice? So if you're in Caesars, you're in an MGM property, right? No, you're not an MGM property. Did they have a beer tax? Did you notice that on the receipts? MGM put in beer taxes.
Yeah. Well, here's the two things. One, we were gambling a lot, so we didn't pay for a lot of drinks. But the other thing too was that if you use comps, and these guys had a lot of comps, I don't think that you pay the tax on the comps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. Listen, we got to start. The hospitality needs to come back a little bit. Caesars, not Caesars, MGM started charging again in all their parking garages all over town. So it's just weird how, and you mentioned Caesars had a younger crowd. Listen, I was in the Wynn 2 weeks ago, whenever the Belmont was, and it was a much, much younger crowd. The demographic at the Wynn has gone the exact opposite of what it was before COVID.
I've never seen so many people walking through a casino in bathing suits in my life. Yeah. And these are not all of them are real bathing suits. They're more like Band-Aids. I mean, it's it was a show. I've seen it that a couple of times, and the dynamic in Vegas has obviously changed. But here's a tip for anybody coming to Vegas that that's going to have a car and be driving around doing the different sites and whatever, is before you get here, make sure you get on the websites and check out the parking requirements for a lot of these casinos, because it's easy these days to get like a platinum or or certain status. And if you've got status in other places, you can usually call the casino and say, hey, I'd like to have the same status with your casino, and they'll do it. So just a tip, they'll save you $20 a day in parking by doing that.
20. It's usually $45 for the first 3 hours, and then you're paying each additional hour after that.
Yeah.
So if you've got a tip on the $20 an hour for 3 or 4 hours, let them know that one too.
Yeah.
So listen, we had a lot go on this weekend, obviously, with NHL, the games. I mean, that's what I like about so hockey Hockey's the one sport where I don't believe there's momentum from one game to the next game. I honestly believe that in a best out of 7 series, every game, I believe teams that are down 3-0 still have a chance to win a series when you're in hockey. Because to me, every game is a different, it's not part of you're playing one game series in hockey. And all you're trying to do every day is just win that one game. Whereas baseball, it seems like there is momentum. It's very hard to come back. Same thing in the NBA. I believe the same thing. But for hockey, I just see it differently. And here we go. We got the Colorado Avalanche. We got the Vegas Knights. And now all of a sudden, Colorado comes down to Vegas and they get mopped.
Yeah, they did.
They got mopped.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, here's the thing about hockey too, right? I don't think the home court or the home ice advantage matters that much, like it does in other sports. But you know what matters hockey, because it's so scoring, man. Just a couple of bounces, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy because my big take on that, and I didn't see. I saw there was a quote from the coach. The coach really laid it into his team, the Colorado coach, after Vegas won Game 3. I guess the Colorado coach said some stuff like, "You got no heart," or you don't deserve to win. Did that carry over into Game 4? Because Game 4 was kind of a whitewashing. Colorado came out and got on the goal first, but 5-1 is kind of a whitewashing in a playoff game.
Yeah,
and I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if he lost the team by really ridiculing them that way and then ridiculing them in public that way.
Oh, you're going to kill my best pick for tomorrow. But here's the thing: is that in hockey is such another momentum sport. And once you get behind in a game, sometimes that has a tendency to marshmallow. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think so. The short answer to your question is I think when we go back to Colorado, I think the Avs will be fine. It's, again, and if you've never played a game at the Golden Knights Stadium in T-Mobile, I mean, that place is raucous. I mean, it's that's one of the best. Believe it or not, Las Vegas has one of the best hockey crowds out there. They love the Knights here. The Knights are number one in Vegas. They're probably bigger than the Raiders right now. So,
well, it's their home. It's their team.
Yeah.
Right, that team belongs to the Las Vegas residents. It wasn't a transplant team. It wasn't a team you brought from someplace else. It doesn't have a traditional fan base outside of Las Vegas. It is the Vegas team, and they've really taken to it. And it all started with that first season. Listen, that magnificent run. They got out of the gate strong. They really brought people in, but they've done a really good job of making it a spectacle, an event. With I think I saw Wayne Newton was at the game yesterday, cheering up the crowd. So they do a really good job, and plus that arena, strategically, the location of it makes it so if you're a local resident and you don't want to go in the casinos, you can come down, you can get something to eat at any one of those restaurants right there and go in and still have a good time. They do a really good job outside of the event to make it an event outside, so you get there 2 hours beforehand. They throw a block party, they do all kinds of different things, which doesn't cater to tourists. It actually caters to the Vegas. So they do a really good job here for the Vegas Knights. So I agree with you. I mean, the home ice really matters for them. They tend to feed off it. Now, there's an interesting thing that's going on in hockey right now when you talk about home ice advantage. There is a team out there, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who refuse to allow you to come into their stadium if you have a visiting team's jersey on. Have you heard about this?
I know.
They kicked out a Carolina fan. They had him escorted out. It's on, and the Carolina fan was video. They were videotaping it. He didn't kick. He wasn't saying anything. This was before the game. He came in. He sat down. The ushers came over and said, "You have to leave." He said he wouldn't leave. They went and they got executives, and they came in and say, "Listen, on the back of your ticket, it says you cannot enter if you have a visiting team's jersey on." That to me is
over the top.
That's
over the top.
Way over the top.
Yeah.
And I think the NHL better jump in and do something, because Tampa Bay, everybody knows Tampa Bay is a very fickle town. It's kind of like Miami. If you're not winning, they're not coming. So if you're going to tell visiting fans they can't come, and then you're not winning, and in 6 months from now you're off to a bad start, and your fans aren't coming, and you're telling other fans they can't come, you're going to look like you're playing in Canada. You're going to look like you're playing up in Canada again. So when you have fans that want to come to a game and support their team, they're not there to start a fight. The guy was there with his daughter. The guy was there with his young daughter, and they kicked him out of the game.
Wow.
So I think that to me is over the top. I mean, overall, it's one big brand. It's the NHL, and I don't think you should do that. And I think they better step in and do something about that because, like I said, it's not like Tampa Bay. You know, nobody goes to the Bucs games unless they're winning with Tom Brady. Nobody goes to the Devil Rays games. Even when they are winning, they don't go to the Devil Rays games.
Right.
Or the Rays. And if you're kicking people out of the game and telling them they can't come to the game if they like the opposing team, that's a big mistake, and you're going to be regretting it in the very near future.
I totally agree with that. I just can't believe it in today's day and age that they would go into that type of protocol. It just doesn't make any sense.
And you could see he's dumbfounded. I mean, there's a video of this happening, and she actually quotes and references the back of their tickets. So the back. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, I can't believe that. But anyway, that series is another crazy series to me.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is playing like the Tampa Bay that won the cup last year.
Yeah, they look good.
If Kucherov is acting like a sniper again and he's on, that's going to be a very tough team. And their goalie is actually maybe the best goalie in hockey. So
I was going to say, it's when you start getting into the playoffs now, it's amazing to me that there's still only one. There's only really two Canadian teams left in this thing, and only one of them is going to get through this next round, right? Because two of them are playing each other, and the Canadian, the Jets. And I'm very disappointed in the Jets because the Jets come from Northern Canada, and that's known to be, that's where they raise hockey players, right? I mean, they teach these kids to be tough. In fact, Kelly, you can run my clip here. This is what hockey is about in Winnipeg. This is what it is right here. Yeah. This is, Canadian daycare right here. Winnipeg, right?
That's great.
Yeah. I know. That's funny. But
what are we looking at? We're looking at 10-year-olds, or were we looking at little people?
I don't know. No. These are kids. This is the Canadian daycare, man. I'm telling you. I got to laugh because, I mean, Winnipeg, their hockey team is everything there, and I'm really disappointed. I mean, I thought I had Winnipeg winning the series over the Canadians, and here they are down 3-0. So disappointing for me.
I think, listen, I think that hit, I think the way that hit was portrayed changed the whole series. I think that really fired up Montreal after game one, and they just said, we're going to end these guys. Again, I'll go back to that hit. I still don't think it was a bad hit. I don't think it was a dirty play. The guy was trying to stop a guy from scoring a goal. The guy had the puck, and he hit him. Just because he hit him hard doesn't mean it should be a penalty. But I think that changed the whole series. Listen, the other one that I'm very intrigued about, obviously, is the Bruins. And this one is it's concerning.
It's a barn burner.
Yeah, well, there's definitely some holes right now in the Bruins. They have two lines that can't do anything on offense. The third and fourth line are basically non-existent. So it's two lines that go out there and are playing heavy action. And the Bruins, that one guy, Lozon, still hasn't recovered. They lost Carlo. So, I'm looking forward to today's game. I want to see how they rebound today because last game I thought they deserved to get beat last game. They definitely deserve to get beat the way they played. The whole team didn't look like lackadaisical. So I hope they rebound and play a better game today. I think that if they're on their game, they will beat the Islanders and they'll advance. If they're not, the Islanders are scrappy the way they play.
They're tough.
They're big. They're bigger than people think, and they play tougher than people think. So. They have a decided size advantage, that surprised me over the Bruins. Their big players, their big guys are bigger than the Bruins' big guys. And I think that's getting in their heads because in this series, there have definitely been some hits where I've said, how is that not a penalty? And then the person retaliates for the Bruins, and then there is a penalty. It happened a couple more times in the last game. And all I'm saying is, the Bruins deserve a couple more power plays than they've gotten, I believe. I just think they need to play better. I think if they play that.
Well, what's your prediction for that series now?
I still think the Bruins are going to win because they have two of the three games at home, and they are. Listen, the Bruins fans are as passionate as any out there in hockey, and when that place is rocking, I think what that does is it picks up the third and fourth line. The third and fourth line played a lot better in games 1 and 2. They were non-existent in games 3 and 4. So it's kind of like role players in the NBA, where when the role players in the NBA go on the road, they average 1 or 2 points. When role players come home, they average 6 to 8 points. And it's the difference in home and away. And I think that's the same thing we're seeing in the NHL with some of these lower tier lines. The big question I'm going to have is, will the Bruins get Carlo back? And if they get Carlo back, will they bench Lauzon? Because the guy that just lost game 2, single-handedly lost game 2, struggled again in games 3 and 4. But he's on the ice because they're down defensemen because of the injuries. So if Carlo plays today, I'm interested to see if they keep Tenardi out there and they keep and they take Lauzon out of the lineup. I think they'd be better off doing that. But overall, listen, Tuukka's playing amazing. Tuukka's playing fantastic hockey. He should have given up 10 goals. And, that the Islanders very easily could have had 5 or 6 in the first 2 periods in the last game. He stopped them, and the Bruins offense did nothing to help them. So I like the Bruins. I'm a homer. I'm going to say the Bruins, but it wouldn't surprise me at this point if lines 3 and 4 don't get it together if the Islanders win the series.
Yeah.
So
well, it's been amazing. I've been watching the goalies in all these series, and they've been standing on their head. The goalies have been terrific.
That's why these teams are where they are. Is because of their goalies. You have to have good goaltending. This isn't the Grant Fuhrer. We're going to score 8 goals, and he gives up 6 and wins 6 Stanley Cups.
Right.
This is all about goaltenders. We're seeing a lot. That's why the Carolina Tampa game, 8 goals in a period is amazing to me.
Yeah, right.
8 goals in 20 minutes. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's just, I didn't get the chance to. I'm mad because I didn't see it, because that would have been the funnest thing to watch for 30 minutes. To see 8 goals in a 20-minute period would have been fantastic.
Right.
But yeah, listen, and the fighting. We're seeing more fights than I thought we would see. Taylor Hall, who hasn't fought since 2011, dropped his gloves and went after the big guy for the Islanders. He didn't fare too well, but he still dropped his gloves and went after the big guy for the Islanders. And so I think and they didn't get major penalties. They just went in the box for fighting or roughing and came back out and played. I think, listen, I'm just jazzed up that we're watching playoff hockey. It feels normal again watching the NHL playoffs when we're watching the stuff in the U.S. and we're seeing fans in the stands. It seems like a very distant memory, this COVID now. Does that, I feel like we're back to real normalcy watching sports. Is that right, or do you feel differently?
I feel like we're getting back to normalcy. I don't feel like we're there yet, and I do not think that COVID's a distant memory. I still think that there's a lot of noise out there about it. I don't know how. Again, I think depending on who you are and where you're from, there's a lot of...
Hold that thought. We're going to have a quick commercial. And when we come back from the commercial, we're going to jump into it because it happened this weekend. Let's roll with our commercial, Kelly.
So what's it like playing Sport Hitters? Whether you're at your favorite bar or just anywhere. Sport Hitters' unique challenge brackets offers players a new way to play. Sport Hitters allows you to pick your teams and challenge friends, family, and rival players, all for real money. And best of all, now it's every sport, every day. You can get the app exclusively at sporthitters.com. Sport Hitters, challenge on.
All right, so you're talking COVID, not a distant memory. There is definitely data to suggest you're right, because Jon Rahm got sent home from the golf tournament.
No, and with no symptoms, right? Too, I get it. I mean, it's a 6-shot lead, $1 million purse, right? Oh, I mean, that's brutal.
That's buying kids. Daddy got to buy brand new shoes for the kids.
Oh
right?
my God!
Shoes.
Yeah. All right. Talk about
and he just played his best. He just played one of his best rounds he's ever played.
Yeah. Right. I mean, how is a guy who's sick play a round like that? Right. I mean, it's gotten to the point where back in the day, if a guy had the flu, for example, and I'm not comparing COVID and the flu, although they both are viruses, right?
Yeah.
And, and you could have the flu and maybe not know it, or you were just getting it or whatever. And, you would be Michael Jordan, remember, like in that playoff game where he had a virus and he was out there, sweating and doing everything else. Jon Rahm isn't really near anybody other than his caddy and maybe a elbow at the end of a round with someone who's probably already been vaccinated. I just don't understand,
how he tests positive. And here's the thing: the first thing I said was, "Fuck." I wish I had Grace, or I wish I had Morikawa, because at that time they were going off at like plus 3,000 to come back and win this thing.
Yeah, right.
4,000 plus 3,000. The first thing I said was, "God damn it! I didn't even know what the in-game odds were right now."
Oh, all right. Well, that's that whole in-game betting and dangers of Vegas, right? I mean, it's it's an opportunity, I guess you could say, but it's also a liability. What if you had Jon Rahm?
That's the other thing. Think about all the smart money bettors where they make these bets at minus like 300, minus 400, and they bet 50,000 to 100,000. Think about I haven't heard one yet I haven't heard a big story come out yet that said this guy on Saturday morning had bet 100 grand on Rahm when he had a 6-stroke lead to win the thing. Well, I haven't heard that story, but I want to know if that happened.
Well, if it did happen, is that money refunded because he is beyond his control, or
no?
Is that a loss?
It is. Once you tee off, and your in-game stuff goes obviously from round to round. But once you tee off and once you make the cut, any bet after the cut is live anyway. And so so they redo everything at the cut line. No, if you would have bet Rahm on Saturday morning, even if you would have bet Rahm coming up the 18th hole, and you bet him $100,000 to win, you just lost. He was disqualified. He actually got a disqualification. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Man, so listen, it still enters into the dynamics. I'm trying to remember the team. Oh, St. Louis. So the St. Louis Blues, half of their team tested positive in the first round of the playoffs this year, in the NHL playoffs, and they were down down 5 or 6 guys because of it. So listen, it's still a thing, but I just found it absolutely insane that he played the best round of his life, and they're like, "Well, we're going to disqualify you because you're sick."
Zero symptoms. I know. I get it. Oh,
zero.
Yeah.
So why wasn't he allowed to play the next day wearing a mask? Why couldn't he just go out and play wearing a mask?
Yeah, you're all good questions.
If I'm listen, I want to hear the story. They're out there. People on FanDuel or DraftKings or some of these William Hill, all these in-game apps. That somebody had action on him. So he wasn't a heavy betting favorite for sport hitters. I know that. But yeah, he got his disqualification. The other guy for the head-to-head wins. So it's an interesting story. Now what happens? Now he's got to go into 2 weeks of isolation. What's his scope for the U.S. Open now? What is it?
I don't know. What is the protocol for
I thought
golf?
It was 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks?
And if it's 2 weeks, he tested positive on Saturday, which means he misses the U.S. Open.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's tough. That's a tough row to hoe.
And especially he'd be one of the favorites now going in, coming off of that round and the way he played there. Yeah. The other interesting story about the U.S. Open is what Ricky Fowler is doing. Ricky Fowler's out there trying to qualify right now. Ricky Fowler went straight from there, I guess, to another tournament to try to qualify this week for next week's U.S. Open. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he's playing better? He's playing a little better. Do you think what are your thoughts?
I think you earn your way into the U.S. Open, and if he hasn't earned it, he doesn't deserve to be there. That's what I think. I would tell him to go home to his beautiful pole vaulter wife, is what I would say.
Here we go. Here we go with the husbands and wives. Okay, so let's one quick thing. I'm going to bring up a name, Tabitha Ricci. Are you aware that she got beat this weekend for the first time?
You know what? I wasn't. I got to be honest. I was not aware of that. Yeah.
She got not knocked out. She got stopped. So she got stopped by punches. Now, the thing about Tabitha Ricci is after I saw her, I'm like, is that the same girl? Because, and I went back and I looked a week ago. She was on vacation at a winery someplace. It was a fill-in for her. She took the fight on 6 days' notice.
Oh boy!
7 days before the fight, she was at a winery getting wasted. She took the fight the next day, and it was a weight class above her weight class. So I respect the fact that she jumped in and took the fight and wanted to fight. But yeah, she's a good looking girl, Randy. You are right about that. She was very good looking.
Is she so good looking after that fight? Because it sounded like she got her butt kicked. So
yeah, she didn't do well in the fight. And I'll be honest with you, she's I don't know. Let me tell you something. She tells you to get in the kitchen and do the dishes. You're there within 30 seconds. Though. There's no doubt about it.
You go.
She's a good-looking girl that can fight. And so, but that brings me to the MMA this weekend. Listen, the MMA and So I'm a heavy believer in that Dana White is one of the greatest business minds on the planet, and in everything he promotes. And what we're starting to see that the spectacle stuff has a following, because that's what I called the Logan Paul and Mayweather stuff this week. It was a spectacle. First of all, I don't know if you saw any of the images from within the arena. The second row was about 100 yards away. So they called the second row, when you bought your tickets, you thought you were in the second row of the ring. You were in the second row of the stands. There was no seating on the floor. And the thing was in the middle of the arena. And then there was no announcer. They cut all kinds of corners to put this fiasco on. They're lying about their numbers, but there's definitely interest in it. And they waited. I don't know if you know this. They waited till the last minute to announce there's not going to be any judges. Everybody just assumed it was going to be a sanctioned event. And there was no judges. It was a complete exhibition. Someone said to me they thought that Mayweather was going to knock him out. Mayweather hasn't knocked anybody out in 25 years. Mayweather hasn't knocked anybody out. Well, I take that back. He knocked his wife out. So outside of as far as men goes, he hasn't knocked any men out in 25 years. He's been slapping them in the ring and he just doesn't get hit. So it went about the same way I thought it was going to go. Mayweather just basically outboxed him and won, kind of unofficial winner. But I find it interesting that people want to see this. I do find it interesting because I had 3 or 4 different people talk to me about having house parties and going to see it. And I got a text from an old friend yesterday, and I was like, what is this text about? And it was like, do you think he's going to win in round 7? I'm like, what is this? And then I was like, you're watching this stuff? And I realized all these people don't bet on any sports, but yet they're all tuned into this. So like the non-betting people that maybe people watch I equate this to NBA now, where it's just a spectacle. It's just about entertainment. It's not about competition, because that thing yesterday really wasn't about competition. It was just about a spectacle and promoted right. And I'm wondering how that's going to affect Dana White, because Dana White puts on real events where there's judges and there's fans and people have to get paid a certain amount of money. I understand now how they're saying they made so much money in that. There was nothing else. They paid no money to anything else.
Yeah. Do you remember being in high school and there'd be 2 kids that were going to get a fight. They were going to meet out off the school grounds at 5 o'clock and they were going to have it out. Remember how many kids would show up just to watch, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about, again, the spectacle of the fight. The fights are usually lousy, one person either dominates or that nothing happens.
First of all, right. Chad Johnson got knocked silly.
Yeah.
Chad Johnson was on the undercard and the dude caught him. Johnson had no clue where he was. He was putting his hand up in the air like he was going to high five the guy. Like he just scored a touchdown. He had his hand up in the air and he's shaking his head and his eyes were like looking straight up to the left. He had no clue where he was. It was, so it was a spectacle, but he got caught. The guy caught him. And I think Johnson at that point was like, I thought you weren't going to pit me, man.
Well, yep. Wrong.
Man, it was funny. Yeah, he got sent to nowhere. He's never been in that spot before, even been in the football field. So yeah, you're right, man. It is like that. And it's interesting. So just to let you know, the August 28th fight, the fight between Tyron Woodley and this guy's brother, I don't know. One of them's name's Logan. The other one, I don't know what the other guy's name is, but the Paul brothers, I think their names are. But Tyron Woodley is fighting one of the Paul brothers on the 28th of August. That's same weekend as kickoff weekend for college football. It's all going to be in there. It's all going to be in the sport hitters. You're going to be able to play challenge brackets. So let's see. Let's see what the spectacle is. Let's see. We're coming into football season. I want to see how that spectacle does if they have any more events in the fall where they try to go head-to-head with the NFL. That will really tell me something.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been more excited about September getting here. I mean, not trying to push the summer along, but
I am.
I really. We're in Vegas. It's 110 today, but I will tell you that football season is more anticipated this year, I think, than any other seasons that I can remember. Can't wait for it to get here.
Yeah, I can't either. And so it's like the countdown is on. We're at 90 days. We're inside of 90 days for college football. And that's starts a 7-month sprint for me, where you got college football and college basketball, and those are the 7 glorious months. I'm like a bear outside of those months. You go into hibernating and just waiting and waiting and waiting. But yeah, listen, there's some news. So I talked with Joe a couple weeks ago about my thoughts on Aaron Rodgers, since we're talking about football, and I gotta believe he's not coming. They're gonna know tomorrow. Tomorrow is the mandatory workouts. If he doesn't show tomorrow, he's not coming. He's not playing. He's not coming back. So tomorrow's going to see a lot about Aaron Rodgers. And if he doesn't show tomorrow, I'm wondering if today's the day you go down and get your futures bet in on the Vikings and take a shot. Because if he's not there tomorrow and he doesn't play for them, they get the Lions, they get the Vikings, and they get the Bears. The Vikings get the Lions, the Packers, and the Bears. Think about that. The Vikings should steam. That should be 5 wins. That should be a 5-1 stretch for the Vikings.
Is Kirk Cousins still their quarterback?
He is. But they got a heck.
Then they ain't going 5-1 against that group. I promise.
Hey, listen, I'm with you. I mean, that guy throws backward passes, perfect passes backwards. He likes to dump the ball back 10 yards to his running back. He does. The best pass he throws is a backwards pass. Yeah. So I'm with you there. But they've got a really good defense coming in this year. They've got they're going to be, obviously Dalvin Cook's going to be a top running back. They're going to get him more involved. If they keep the ball out of Cousins' hands and don't make him win games, they've got a good enough team around him to run away with that. Division.
My God, you sound like, are you Jersey Joe? Unzip that suit. Is that Jersey Joe in there? My God, the Minnesota Vikings. Their defense is average. Their offensive line is horrible. They got a great running back in Dalvin Cook. They got a terrible quarterback. They ain't going anywhere.
This coming from a Lions guy. Let's put that out there too. Who's giving this information to people?
I didn't say the Lions were going to win the division. I just said that. In fact, nobody from that division is going anywhere in the playoffs. But here's even with Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay. But here's the thing about Aaron Rodgers is I don't agree that if he doesn't show up for the offseason workouts that he won't be in Green Bay this year. What I do think is, one, it's a money play. I think there's some money involved in this. Always say follow the money here. What's the way to get Aaron Rodgers happy and back in Green Bay? You pay him more. I think that could very well happen. But here's the other thing too, is that I do agree with you that if he doesn't show off for the off-season workouts, the Green Bay Packers now have a heightened decision to make. Right? Because now there is the threat that Aaron Rodgers won't be there. And they have to decide, are they going to do something to get Aaron Rodgers back immediately, or are they going to trade him?
I think they said that last year. Listen, I'll go back to it. It was the worst draft pick in the history of the NFL. I said it that night, and to this day, I stand by it. It was the worst draft. The guy came off a 4,000-yard season. Everybody said he didn't have a great year. 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns that year. NFC Championship game. They went out and drafted a backup quarterback. They traded to draft up to get a backup quarterback, and they traded for a third-string running back. They drafted in their second round. They've done nothing. Listen, it's
the Aaron Rodgers story all over again. Remember Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers? That's how they did. That's how Aaron Rodgers got to Green Bay.
There's a big difference. At that time, Brett Favre didn't come off that type of a season. And listen, we're in a different era where players think that they're supposed to be told everything that goes on. So on the flip side of that, I would say Aaron Rodgers is acting like a baby because he has a signed agreement and a contract that says I'm supposed to play here and I've signed to play here. I would like to see his contract and says, hey, is there verbiage in the contract that says if you draft a quarterback, I have to be told ahead of time? If that's not in there, he needs to get his tail in there and play. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's done in Green Bay. I think he's seeing the light. He's made a lot of money in the NFL, but he also sees he might be able to make a lot more money outside the NFL. If what I'm hearing is correct, that Alex Trebek was getting $20 million a year to host Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why in the world would you go out and make $15 million flinging a football if you could make 20 just sitting there talking to people 5 days a week for a couple hours? I mean, at this point, he's not money hungry, and there's probably jobs out there that he can do. Look at the success of Peyton Manning post-football. Look at the success of Michael Strahan post-football. These guys have careers post-football. He's got nothing left to prove, and I actually think it's about winning. I think he either wants to be on a team that has a chance to win the Super Bowl, or he doesn't want to be there. That's what I believe.
When it comes to personality, though, Aaron Rodgers is no Michael Strahan, right? I mean,
yeah, he's a little drier.
He's a wet blanket, right? I don't see the Bucks in TV that you see. And Alex Trebek had a dry sense of humor. I'll give you that, and he's good at what he did. And Aaron Rodgers is no Trebek. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If he wants to cement his legacy, I mean, here he's at a stage in his career where his stats, probably are very close, if not already there, for Hall of Fame, right? And I think those guys have that ego. They're achievers, right? He wants to get there. He wants to achieve that greatness. I think what he's thinking is, maybe I can't do that in Green Bay. Maybe I need to get to a bigger stage. And Green Bay.
I also think it has to do with Tom Brady. I mean, he just saw Tom Brady go to another team and win a Super Bowl in the first year. He saw Peyton Manning do it in the second year. I think now there's like this footprint of going to a new team and winning a championship.
Send him to the Tennessee Titans. Send him to one of these teams that's all they lack is quarterback play, right?
I disagree. So that brings up a point. I wanted to get to this because, again, to me, Julio Jones, the Tennessee Titans, is window dressing. Offense wasn't their problem whatsoever last year. They couldn't stop anybody. We covered this in the draft. They had a horrible draft. They couldn't stop anybody last year. They didn't do anything to make the defense better, which is weird because their head coach is Ninkovich, right? Isn't Ninkovich their head coach?
Yeah.
And what are they doing? What trading for Julio Jones, a guy that was sat out most of the season last year with injury? At one time, he was a great receiver.
He still is. He's a beast.
Oh, come on. Their best player is going to be that A.J. Brown, and they got Derrick Henry. Listen, I get it. I don't think he'll get over 70 catches this year. I don't think Julio Jones will eclipse 70 catches. I think he's a novelty. I think he's the third or fourth option for him this year. I don't think it changes any predictions that you make on that team. I think before that trade, I think if you said they were a 9-win team, after the trade, they're a 9-win team.
To me, they gave up a second and a fourth round pick and got a sixth rounder back to get what I think is one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL. I think that's a great trade.
Now or overall? Now,
I think he's got the ability. He might have been coasting the last couple of years because their team wasn't going anywhere. But now he's in a different situation. Now he's got a chance. He's got a chance to get to a Super Bowl. I like that trade. I like that trade a lot, actually. Yeah.
And listen, I think Tannehill's in the perfect system for him. I think Tannehill's one of the most athletic quarterbacks. Don't forget, he was a receiver in college. He's now doing a run pass option. I think it's the perfect fit for him where Miami wasn't, and he showed that when he can turn around and fake a handoff to Henry that you have to respect. It opens up his receivers, and he's got really good. He's got A.J. Brown, who I still think is a top 5 receiver.
I agree. Brown's a very good receiver. Yep.
I think they need to address the defense. The defense couldn't stop anybody last year. That was their problem. And if you look at the teams that consistently get good, when it comes time for that Super Bowl, they're teams that score 25 points a game are now scoring 17, and they're winning this thing 17-13. They're winning these.
Just remember, Tom. Just remember, the greatest defense is a great offense. Just remember that. I mean, that's if you can't stop a team, then outscore them. That's where you go. I'm just saying, never hurts to add more points.
Well, I think if you go back and look over the history of Super Bowl winners, I bet you every Super Bowl team has at least a top 10 ranked defense, and majority of them have a top 5 ranked defense. And I don't think I'm trying to remember a Super Bowl that ended up 49-47. I can't think of one, but maybe there was one. Most Super Bowls are won with defense and situational football. Intelligent quarterbacks leading situational football. That's how you win Super Bowls. You have a great offensive line, great defensive line, and your quarterback has to be the smartest guy on the field. That's it. If you have that scenario, you're going to do very well because smart quarterbacks value the football.
Yeah, I don't know how we got on this Titans tangent, but
well, we started with Aaron Rodgers, but
yeah, right.
I thought it was again. I saw it, and everybody was like, "Oh, they're instantly they're Super Bowl contenders," and I'm like, "No, they're the same team they were before that." But anyway, I'm looking forward to the NFL season coming up. It's almost time to start putting the futures in. And getting you playing from the women's tees, because I have a feeling you're going to be.
I would love that. Are you kidding me? If they gave me that option, I'd take it today. Right? Yeah.
Oh, all right. Listen, there's only a couple of games on the baseball board today, right?
Yeah.
So there's 3 games. I believe that I like all 3 favorites.
Agreed.
And if I was told to pick one,
let me guess. You take the Padres.
Take the money and run. Let's hear it, Kelly. I'm going to tell you what team to take. No, I'm taking the Red Sox today against the Marlins. It's actually better odds than I thought you were going to be getting. I love the Red Sox today at home. And the funny thing is tomorrow's lineup, I'm already looking at tomorrow's lineup because I think there's a steal. So tomorrow, I love the over on the Red Sox-Astros game. So I'm taking the Red Sox today. The Astros always – first of all, the Astros are one of those teams with splits where they play much worse on the road than they do at home. They score a lot more at home than they do on the road. But over the last 3 or 4 years, Bregman always has big games when he comes to Fenway. That team seems to have big games when they come to Fenway. And I believe both teams are going to put up some runs in that series. But I think the Red Sox win 2 out of 3. So today, I'm on the Red Sox. You mentioned the Padres. Yeah, I have the Padres in the brackets. I had all 3 favorites today. I think they were all 3 home teams.
Yeah.
What do you see on the lineup today?
Yeah, I'm with you. I have all the favorites today. My baseball pick of the day would be the Padres. Although you're laying 150 something, so it's not it's not the best value out there, but it's probably the best winner.
So today might be, when you see these games today, this might be the day where you say, let me see if the visiting team or the dog can jump out to a 1 or 2 run lead and bring my number down. Because I don't ever go into a game thinking the team I bet on is going to shut the other team out, right? I think they're going to outscore them. So when you see these heavy favorites, do you ever look at that and say, you know what, I don't want to lay the 160. Let's see if they fall behind early and I can get away at 120. Take them in the second inning at minus 120, down 1-0.
Right.
And then play for the rest of the game.
Well, the in-game betting really changes strategies, and I agree with that. You can do that. Here's the thing, if I'm going to take a heavy dog, usually I'm taking the over in that game too, because I'm hoping that they score 2 or 3 runs, especially if I'm doing it for a series. So this week, I had picked out 6 series that I liked, that I thought that the team that I picked would win at least 1 game in the series, right? And I was right on 5 out of 6. The one I missed was the Yankees.
What do you mean win 1 game?
Yeah.
Are you selecting just 1 game in each series and trying to predict which of the 3 games they're going to win?
No, I'm going to play them until they win, right, in that series. So I'm basically playing a progression. So, if I'm playing a dog, I might play him for, just to use a unit, 1 unit each day. And on third day, if I have to double up on the units, I will. So that usually wins for me. What I didn't see coming this week, though, was the Yankees getting swept at home by the Red Sox.
Hadn't happened in 10 years. First time in 10 years.
Exactly right. I mean, the stats were really on my side in that series. And here's the other thing, too, is that I don't know if you watched that series, but yesterday's game, the Yankees made a really bad error in the 8th inning. They ended up giving the Red Sox the go-ahead run. The Yankees came back to tie, but that would have been the winning run had they not had the error in the 8th. So, I mean, they're making a lot of mistakes to make that happen. So a lot of times you got to look at
that's the pattern right now.
Yeah.
Is the defenses, the defenses are what's costing people runs.
Yeah.
One of the interesting parts of extra innings, and it took me about 2 months to figure out because I never really checked into it, was whether or not that guy that starts on second counts as a run in a pitcher's ERA, because now we're talking dollars for relievers, and it doesn't. It's not. It counts as like an inherited runner. It doesn't.
Well, did you see they gave the guy a double on the play, and it was clearly an error, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, that kind of stuff's going on all the time in baseball. I mean, if people say errors aren't really up, I'm going, the official scoring is very generous these days.
They don't want errors. Baseball doesn't want mistakes. They want they want to act like it's perfection. First of all, I'm surprised you didn't bring up the call, because the call had a lot to do with it. The strike.
That bad strike three. Yeah.
Strike three call. And what made it worse was he quickly heave-hoed a bunch of people. It's bad enough when you make a mistake, but give some leeway to the managers. Everybody's out there trying to win, and they're fired up. And if a big situation like that, you can't be that arrogant as an umpire and be like, you can't argue. You're out of here. That
was a big miss on that strike three call. It really was. Yeah, that ball was a half a foot outside. And
did you bet on any college baseball this weekend?
I did not. But you asked me last week whether Michigan was in. They were in, but they got beat.
Yeah, they got beat. ASU made it. They got beat. They had did you see the walk-offs and the comebacks in the College World Series this weekend? Tennessee had a grand slam. And I mean, that guy got the best out of his 15 seconds of fame, because he mean mugged it. He flipped his bat. He backpedaled to first base, walking, staring at his team, pumping up the crowd. It was one of the best walk-off celebrations I've ever seen. And it started the minute he hit the ball. He hit that. He didn't wait for the thing to get over the fence. The minute he hit it, he turned towards his bench, put his hands in the air, started mean mugging him, walking backwards, celebrating. He wasn't even looking at the fence when the ball went over the fence. He was looking at his dugout. It was
What the hell is a mean mug? What is a mean mug? What is that?
The mean mug face. The mean mug face. Like, I'm the man. And it was one of the greatest celebrations ever. ASU actually had to come from behind walk-off to beat Fairfield. Of all teams, Fairfield. Evidently, they're really good. I don't know what happened. They played late last night against Texas, and I don't know the results. But, ASU didn't advance. And this was the first round, the 16 rounds of 4 teams.
Yeah, so right.
They're advancing next weekend. It's still fun to watch, man. I do enjoy watching college baseball when I flip it on. I feel like it reminds me of what Major League Baseball used to be.
Yeah.
And so, I like watching it. But your Wolverines didn't make it through the weekend, huh?
Yeah, no, they didn't. So before we get to our picks today, I do want to talk quickly about the Lexi Thompson meltdown in the U.S. Women's Open. Did you see that at all?
No.
Oh, so Lexi Thompson, is...
Who's she married to?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, sorry.
Is she good looking?
she's pretty good looking. But here's the thing. Lexi Thompson's she gets to the 9 holes of she gets to the back 9 of the U.S. Open. She's got a 2 or 3 shot lead, and she totally melts down the back 9. I mean, I think she finished bogey to lose the U.S. Open. To me, it was just remarkable that a player of her caliber could melt down like that. And I know I haven't seen her.
Does she win a lot?
Yeah, she's one of the top players in the U.S. on the ladies tour. And to me, watching that meltdown, I mean, that's all you could really call it. I mean, everything she hit was short all of a sudden, and it was just like the nerves got to her. And
has anybody ever come in and replaced Annika Sorenstam? Has anybody ever got to that level for the women?
No.
Because before Annika Sorenstam, there was a Mexican golf player that seemed to be number one.
Yeah, Lorena Ochoa, right? And and she was a very good player, and she was a very reputable, very strong number one player in the world. But right now, they don't have a dominant player. Right?
They don't have a dominant player. The girl that came back and won that thing, wasn't she like a teenager? Was that didn't a young girl win the U.S. Open women's golf tournament?
No, what happened? There was a young girl who won the low amateur.
Okay. I saw something about a teenager doing something for the first time in the U.S. Women's Open golf, and I thought she won it.
She was actually in the final group, but she didn't play that well in the final day. But she played well enough still to be low amateur. Her name was Mega Gane.
And then who ended up winning it?
I didn't watch the end, unfortunately. After I lost interest after Lexi went out, but I believe it was one of the girl from the Philippines. I think her name was Sako.
Can you bet on that?
I don't.
They have
We don't.
action on that?
Well, we don't have it in the Sport Hitters app. But I don't know if you. Yeah, I think you probably can somewhere.
I'll tell you what, we got to start I'm going to start watching this Canadian kids hockey games if they keep fighting like that. I'm going to start putting that stuff on and getting let me tell you something. When Canada wants to promote itself, this is the stuff you should put on.
All right.
Put this stuff on and say there's some passion up there for your sports.
I love it. Yeah.
And it's with the Benny Hill. Who added the music? Was that you, or did you just get it like that?
No, I just got it like that. That's funny. When I ran across it on social media, I had to put it out there because I just thought that typified the whole sentiment in Canada about hockey. Right? They start them at a young age.
So real quick, there's a caveat to that, and maybe we'll get covered this next week. But there's a thing going on right now in mixed martial arts, and I thought it was two kids, and first of all I thought it was Khabib's kid. It's not. There is someone named Abdu, 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 and he's like a little person. I thought he was a child. I thought he was literally 3 years old. He's 18. He's got some thing. They're having a mixed martial arts competition between him and another angry one. One's a singer from one country, another one's a rapper from another country. If you start to watch this, like the videos are starting to show up everywhere. I thought it was Khabib's kid. I thought that's 2-1 because they're I don't know, a foot off the ground, 2 feet off the ground. They're gonna have a mixed martial arts fight. And they're talking trash. And I thought these were little 3-year-olds. So we'll cover it's. I'll guarantee you, it does the same type of numbers that Logan and Mayweather did.
Yeah,
I hope
not. I hate that kind of low life. Yeah, right.
Well, listen, this is a spectacle. Now I'm starting to realize why there's such big. Anybody that watches, you bet the overs in the NBA. It's not because they're playing defense. It's because they're scoring 150 points and nobody's trying to play defense. It's a spectacle now. It is not competitive. It's a spectacle. It's come down and shoot a 3 and dribble through your legs and then go, do some social media stuff. That's what the Logan Paul was. I'm equating the NBA and Logan Paul stuff the same. And here's the new up and coming thing is going to be this new fight. Outside of that, Jorge Masvidal just started something called bare knuckle fighting. He's doing a bare knuckle fight. He's promoting his own fights now in Miami. So I think we're seeing a rise of some stuff. And to be honest, we are going to see some of the stuff in the Sport Hitters app. So going to have to start doing some studying on it.
All right.
But, anyway, we'll be back on Wednesday. Not much on the slate today. Pick of the day for you, Randy, again, is who? The Padres?
Yeah, the Padres. But I'm going to tell you tomorrow, since we don't come back on until Wednesday, take the Avs tomorrow. I think the Avs win back in Colorado tomorrow.
So my pick of the day today is the Red Sox, and then the Red Sox over tomorrow. Both those hockey games can go either way, but the Avalanche at home, I think their top line plays better. I agree with you. I think they're going to win the game. I was very shocked at how well the Vegas Knights played at home, but I think that's going to be I think that's going to be an all home win series. I think it goes 7 now, and it's all home wins. Go Bruins. We'll come back Wednesday. Have a good one.
Get your money and run.